welcome back to Tag Guides Tech Talks. This is your host Jackson. Today we're going to be talking about the GTX 1080 Ti. It was officially released by Nvidia last week on March 8th with a price tag of $699. And just to kind of roll back and cover some of the specs on the card, it comes with 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X memory, a 352-bit memory bus, 484 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth, 1.6 gigahertz boost clock, 3,584 CUDA cores, 3 DisplayPort, 1 HDMI, and once again it comes with no DVI port on the card. But it does come with a dongle in the box that plugs into the DisplayPort, so if you have DVI monitor, do not worry, it comes with the box. You do not have to order one. Now, at the Game Developers Conference, Nvidia claimed that the GTX 1080 Ti would have a 35% boost over the 1080. So what we did is we took some PCGamer benchmarks at 4K and compared them with the 1080 Ti, the 1080, and what Nvidia claimed that they would get. So if we take a look at the gaming benchmarks, Ashes of the Singularity scored 58.9 frames per second on the GTX 1080, while Nvidia's claim of 35% would put this at 79.5 frames per second. The benchmarks show that it actually scored 75.6 frames per second. This is a performance boost of 28.35%, not quite hitting that 35% that Nvidia claimed. Now, if we look at the division, the 1080 scored 47.3 frames per second, while compared to Nvidia's claim of 63.85 frames per second with that 35% boost, the benchmarks show that it scored actually 67.5%. This is a boost of 42.71, easily clearing that 35% mark. Now, when it comes to Doom, the 1080 scored 77.9 frames per second. With 35% boost of Nvidia's claim, that would put it at 105.16 frames per second, while the benchmark showed that it came in at 103.6 frames per second. This is very close, 32.99, not quite to that 35% though. Now, if we look at Grand Theft Auto 5, the 1080 scored 61.6 frames per second with a 35% boost. It puts it at 83.16, and the benchmark showed it at 83.6. This is 35.71, right there on the sweet spot of 35%. And then if we move on to Rise of the Tomb Raider, the GTX 1080 scored 50.1. With Nvidia's claim of 35%, we got 67.63. And then when it comes to the actual benchmarks, we got 63.6 for a total of 26.95% boost. Now moving on to The Witcher 3, the 1080 scored 41.6 frames per second. Nvidia's claimed 35% boost would be 56.16, with the actual benchmarks of 57.4 at 37.98% boost. That beats Nvidia's claim. Then we move on to Battlefield 1. The GTX 1080 scores 50.6. Nvidia's claimed boost of 35% would put it at 68.31, while the actual benchmarks were 64.4 or 27.27% boost. So if we average out all these performance increases, the 1080 actually scored over the 1080 Ti actually scored over the 1080, we get 33.14%. This is just under 2% below what Nvidia claimed, which isn't out of the ballpark for these companies to say, oh, it gets this much more power, this X number percent, and their synthetic tests that they have in their lab, their perfect cards and this and that, so they can put it on all of their marketing material. So 33% I feel like is within the realm of reason. Could be up to the benchmarks, which ones you used, what your test bench was set up. So I feel like this is within a margin of error. Now, the card comes out at $699 for the Founders Edition versus the now lowered price of the 1080 at $499. Now, this is a 40% bump in cost, but you're only getting a 33% bump in performance. So now if you're one of those guys that is all about price to performance, that's the card you're going to buy every time. It looks like the 1080 is still the best bet for you. But if you're a 4K purist, or you're playing at 1080p or 1440p on a widescreen, or even on the regular screen with a high refresh rate, and you're trying to hit that 144 hertz sweet spot, then this might be a really great card for you, even at the performance boost, if you're trying to hit 144 hertz all the time at 1080p. So that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. Let me know if you're interested in some kind of program or website that aggregates all these benchmarks and reviews from other YouTubers, other review sites like Nantech, PCGamer, etc. Takes all those reviews and aggregates them together and gives you a big average. So if you guys are interested in that, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let me know what your favorite reviewers are, and I'll check them out. And thanks, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.